It's a pleasure. I'm glad you stopped by. I'm happy to share my story.
Awesome.
And give you some insight. So I've been in the corporate world for over 35 years, and I've always worked for somebody else. And for me, the transition kind of happened, and I had to pivot and do something on my own. Obviously, my age is a factor. Being in the tech industry, it's not a favorable position to be with my age, so I needed to pivot. And the timing was right, and I started looking at franchise opportunities.
Okay.
My main concern was finding a brand that's popular, that's known, that would give me a head start with the competition.
Awesome.
And that's kind of forced me to look at franchise opportunities. So I started working with some coaches. We looked at several options. I was interested mainly to be more hands-on and enjoy the work that I'm doing.
Right.
And I wanted to have customer interaction. I like working with people. I enjoy interacting with people.
You're good at it.
I'm a giver by nature, and I like to provide satisfaction to people. I take great pride in the work that I do, and I want to give that to people and get it back. And having said that, I started looking at several opportunities. I started looking at the pet grooming business.
How was that?
I love pets. I have 2 dogs. Unfortunately, grooming other people's dogs could be a challenge, especially bigger dogs that are aggressive. So that was an interesting ride.
Okay.
And the risks involved. You're dealing with loved ones, even though they're pets.
True. Yep.
Was a
Family
factor.
members.
It's a life and death situation too for some people in terms of how you take care of your dogs, the pets, and also the risk factor in terms of how you get treated by certain pets. You can't control certain breeds, certain dogs, and it was a risk factor.
And
so
you gotta
that
cut
was a
their
quick
toenails and do all that
toenails,
stuff.
I started imagining, oh boy, this dog, how it's gonna react.
Right.
And I don't know this dog, so I don't have that chemistry like you see in movies with dogs. So
that business was out.
that business was interesting. It was a learning experience for me. I looked at a couple of opportunities just to learn from the process, review the financials, and get a sense of how these businesses operate. Look at the legal documentation that
Franchise
agreements. That kind of gave me an introduction of how the agreements are structured.
Did you use an attorney for that?
Eventually I did.
Okay.
I did hire an attorney to go through it, but I had a good attorney. He gave me some pointers.
Okay.
Once I got through the initial hurdle, I knew what to look for. But definitely would recommend some type of expertise reviewing those documents.
Okay.
There's money involved with that. You need to invest some money in terms of to ensure you're looking at the right thing.
Because really quick, in terms of the franchises you looked at, did you first look for things that you thought would be interesting or financially?
Absolutely.
Big financial upside?
It was a combination of both. I think some of the coaches I worked with, they assessed me, they interviewed me.
Right.
I even remember taking some tests, personality tests.
Sure.
And there's a profile that certain franchises look for and match, depending on your personality, character, work habit, and your interest. You may or may not be a good match for certain industries.
Right.
So that was really helpful.
Okay.
I've probably taken 4 or 5 of those tests. It kind of started, being consistent and aligned me to certain things that I like.
Okay.
So it eventually came down to finding the best match for what I wanted. And after pet, I looked at flooring business.
Okay.
Which was interesting.
And is that a mobile flooring service?
It was basically, it was a combination. Mobile, I looked at the mobile elements of it, but you needed to have a location.
Oh, you had it storefront.
Yeah, you had a storefront with inventory, but there was one mobile option that I looked at. It was totally mobile. And the second franchise I looked at was physical location, brick and mortar. Similar concepts, different channels of distribution.
Okay.
And I was really interested in that. I went through the interview process. I made it to the final round, but it just didn't seem right for me.
Now, why was that? Why was you mentioned not being very handy earlier? Is that
I wanted to be hands-on. I wanted to be handy, and I couldn't picture myself
doing
work that I haven't never done before.
I get it.
It was scary at first, but it wasn't a match.
Yeah.
In my perspective,
Makes
I
sense.
could have been a good business person, but I wouldn't be able to help the crew in any type of a situation. So. The driving side, there was also another element of the flooring, which was it's a mobile flooring.
Okay.
You basically carried your inventory in the car,
yeah.
and you visited people without committing to a physical location.
Right.
And that required a lot of driving and
Right.
hunting people down, which
But less overhead.
less
no
overhead.
physical
Exactly.
location. That's
So the trade-off. So both were attractive to me, and those were on my list until I progressed. The other area that I looked at was as we know, the age of seniors in this country is growing. I looked at healthcare,
okay.
senior healthcare,
Okay.
and I also looked at mobility services that provided to help people be more mobile.
Those are popular and growing.
Those were very popular, growing, and there's a lot of demand, and which was appealing. However, after looking into it, I discovered that there's a lot of people that felt the same way and got into the business. So there's a lot of competition in those areas.
So they're struggling. They're just so
They were
much
struggling.
saturated.
Saturated market, exactly. And eventually, I came across on my own after trying different avenues. I came across Minuteman Press,
Okay.
and I did some research on my own. It's an international franchise.
Okay.
They have over 1,000 locations internationally. And interestingly, my first job in high school was in the print.
Oh, really? I didn't know
print
that.
shop.
Okay, cool. Okay,
And
so
so kind of my career kind of
full
revolved.
circle.
Full circle. I worked at a print shop. I did the shipping, delivery, packaging. I did a lot of the binding work that
That's
we do
cool.
to this day.
How
After
funny.
35 years, some of the things haven't changed.
Okay, cool.
And that was one element.
So it felt familiar. That
It
probably
felt familiar.
felt good too.
It felt familiar. I kind of knew the rhythm of the business.
Right.
And also, from a software perspective, having a software background, I did develop software for estimating, printing
Really?
project
How
estimation.
funny.
And that was like 5 years into my career, I did that.
That's so
And it's interesting, sometimes when doors close, new doors open up.
Always, yeah.
And it's kind of, I reflect on it and thinking back, like I never thought 30 years from that point I would be making a full circle
Yeah.
and doing something that I enjoyed. And here I am.
It's awesome.
So I discovered, I interviewed, I shopped around, I looked at new opportunities versus existing opportunities, and I decided to buy an existing franchise.
Okay.
It's difficult to establish yourself as a print shop, especially when you're starting out without any customers.
Right.
In this industry, once you share your digital files, you're kind of glued to a organization. It's really difficult to pivot. So if you can buy an opportunity, existing opportunity, you inherit most of the business that comes with it.
That's great.
So which gives me a head start, albeit at a higher cost because you're buying an existing business with customers.
Right.
But I felt I needed that head start. I didn't want to risk at my age, my career point, to starting new.
Yep.
So I looked at a couple of opportunities, existing businesses, the smallest to the largest unit, smallest being the one I bought with one employee and myself, the largest being 8 employees plus the owner,
Okay.
2 owners, 10 people. The sales margins are probably 5-fold difference between the 2 organizations.
Wow.
But I felt that I would be able to contribute more and have more fun doing something smaller and growing it on my own
That's
rather
great.
than taking something already established and trying to get to the next level.
Yeah. So there's more upside in this location. And
Exactly.
you said fun, so that's good.
I'm having fun. I'm having fun. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
What do you
it's
like?
very scary.
What do you like best about it?
Every day is different. Your goal is to satisfy customers. So you're always trying to find ways to, reduce the cycle time, deliver things. We're living an Amazon age. So
Totally.
everything has to be done as soon
Today,
as possible.
or yesterday, right?
yesterday. So reducing the cycle time, enhancing the quality,
Okay.
eliminating waste.
Okay.
Those are key elements, and treating people like I want to be treated.
That's great.
Those are the things that I try to convey, and the culture I want to establish. And I was fortunate enough to inherit an employee that has 20 years experience.
This is awesome.
He knows the ins and outs of the business, he knows the jobs, he knows the customers, and it's helped me to focus more on more important things, running the business.
Right.
And as a small organization, I wear many hats. I do everything from accounting, bookkeeping, all the way through alphabet, all the way to the Z. I trust my employee to do some of the work that I'm not expert at, but I'm always there to help, be a backup. And the benefit of having or being involved in a franchise is you have access to a network of information, knowledge, experience that you can rely on. And I can say that being part of a franchise gives you the ability to pivot and find solutions. And if something doesn't work, you go to the next offering and help the customer out as soon as possible. You're not stuck. You're never stuck.
That's
There's
right.
always somebody there to help you, whether it's the franchise in the next town,
Right.
or headquarters, or the local marketing representatives that are there to help.
That's awesome. So you feel like you're supported. You feel like you have a network. What do you like least about it so far?
There's the least, I would say the least I like about it is it's different than corporate. When you're in corporate, you have a steady income, you have vacation, you have your set hours. But it's different.
No vacation now, right?
No vacation now, work every day. You're the last person to get paid.
Right.
And it's very scary. You have a lot of responsibility. You have responsibility to your employees, your customers, obviously your family and your well-being.
Right.
But I can share with you that I may not be making the same income as I used to, but I'm happier.
It's your own business.
My mental health is at a much better place.
That's awesome.
Than it's ever been, and money is not that important anymore. to me
Right.
At this point.
Yeah. And you mentioned you should have done this 10 years ago, which I think is interesting because you had a really great career in IT. But why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like it would have been great to do it 10 years ago?
I think if I had a 10-year start in this business, I'd be 20 years ahead of where I am right now.
Right.
Because I would have dedicated the dedication you put into your own business is you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
Not that you would do that at a corporate world, but I feel like the benefits far outweigh the effort you put in. Initially, it's very tough, but I think over the long run, if I had 10 years, I would have seen the results earlier than I would have normally. So
Right.
it's one of those things. It's easy to play Monday morning quarterback,
Right.
but if I had to do it over again, I would have done it 10
Done it
years ago.
earlier.
Because I feel like my last 10 years in corporate world weren't as beneficial or effective as I would have been if I had done it on my own.
I hear that from a lot of people. It's a grind right now in corporate. What would be your advice to someone considering a franchise now?
If I was starting over again, I would advise to have extra capital on the
Okay.
side. I would really try to fund everything on my own.
Okay.
I haven't had a good experience with SPA. I did go through an SPA process.
Okay.
It's very tough.
Okay. Interesting.
And I probably answered the same question, filled out the same forms 10 times.
Okay.
I was approved. I got the loan, but you have to be careful about the finances,
Right.
obviously. And given the market we're in right now with the high interest rates, it's very challenging
Right.
to be able to operate with those high interest rates and
Right.
looming over your head.
Yes.
So I would say the financials are the main thing.
Okay.
The second element, I would say, make sure you enjoy the work, you
Right.
have fun, and preferably if you have experience in that field. If not, try to gain some experience in that field by inserting yourself in an existing work situation
Yeah.
to see how it's going to fit your lifestyle.
Right.
Those were the three things that I would highly recommend.
Okay. And so what was the timeline like? So you left corporate, and then how long did it take before you finally made a decision on the type of franchise and then actually signing your agreement?
It was probably a year-long process, if not longer.
Okay. Yep.
Just preparing yourself mentally, taking the first step to look at possible alternatives. That was a huge effort on its own. Being in the corporate world, you're in meetings, you have commitments, you have your life, your comfort that you're used to over a period of time. And to pivot away from that takes a lot of effort. It's really hard. So making that first step is a scary step. It's probably the easiest step, but it's also the
I
scariest.
bet.
But once you get into that field, you're bombarded with information. And obviously a coach is really helpful.
Like a consultant, like a
consultant to help you with navigation of that.
Okay.
You know, probably for me to purchase this unit, it probably took 6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It took a long time.
Yeah. You did your due diligence and
I
made
did
sure
my
that this
due
was it.
diligence. There's also the SBA process involved if you're looking for that. So that takes a long time, unfortunately. And vetting the business, it's a process. It's a process that takes time. So same thing with I would imagine with a new franchise, finding a place,
Yeah, that would be tough.
these terms, inventory, equipment, those things takes time. So as a new franchisee, consider at least spending 6 months before you get to a place where you can start running the business.
That's good advice. Anything else you can think of that, you know, after leaving corporate, I know that it was a challenge. Did you know you wanted a franchise? Did you know you wanted to be involved in some sort of franchise business? Or did you ever consider opening, you know, your own shop?
Well, I did have my own consulting business, software consulting.
Oh, you did?
business
Okay.
For 12 years.
Okay.
In my career, and it was still in technology. And to be honest, I was tired of dealing with this, solving the same problem over and over again
Sure.
for different customers. And I needed a change. And what was your question?
No, that was it. That was
Was it?
perfect. That was perfect. Okay, I'm going to stop it. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop and start, and we'll say, hey, what's up, friend?